Good morning. Today's a good day. It's a day that I am choosing to really fully, I think, properly part way with TradFi. In some ways, in November, I think that's when I was properly orange pilled, and I was like, nah, I just got to dedicate the rest of my, well, at least next 10 years to Bitcoin. But today I'm like, there's also another step to this where you need to actually take a step back and just stop thinking the TradFi way. Um, Lending and borrowing in Bitcoin or borrowing US dollars against Bitcoin, there is a huge TradFi thought process. And, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you're still taking out loans on interest. You're still paying the banks what they want. You are sure you're reinvesting that into Bitcoin. Um, but most borrowing options basically will liquidate you. And it just, it's not in the values and ethos of Bitcoin. And I've been also, there's always competing thoughts. So it's like, oh, well, we don't want to be idealistic about that. I don't want to I don't want to stick myself up into this niche or um, business is about making things work, right? And I'm just realizing that TradFi and Bitcoin doesn't actually work. It works in the sense that you're collecting cash flow. And I think the next 3 years, actually, so I was doing the math yesterday um, about the Chagger, right? Compounded annual growth rate for, okay, what's it going to be if Bitcoin gets from 100K to 1 million in a 10-year time period? And that's roughly 25% Chagger. What are those numbers if it hits 200K or 300K, right? And then you're getting closer to like 16%, 12% Chagger. And, there's a matter of timing when these are, if it crashes, blah, 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 blah. But the core of it is that it's very hard to beat 25% Chagger without doing much. Like you have to put a lot of work in to get 25% Chagger. It's not impossible. It's possible. There are businesses that do that, but it's a lot of work. So I think we're just going to continue seeing a lot more just Bitcoin accumulation. And that's going to be the biggest source of like funds or money going into Bitcoin. Like that's why you have all these ETFs. That's why you have all these treasury companies, because when there are a few people that are going to be doing the borrowing and doing business and putting in the work and generating more returns, and they're going to be businesses and larger companies, honestly. Most or traders are able to actually beat the returns, so it's like it's a high risk group to some degree, a high risk high reward group. But to the average person or to the average business, it's really out of scope. And we're not going to actually have people borrowing against the Bitcoin in the next 2 to 3 years. I think we're still actually early on that, at least in a TradFi sense. What I think we will start having is people hedging, though. And that's the big thing where Bitcoin's volatility is still the biggest problem. And people want Bitcoin at the same time. And what I'm leaning into more these days, and especially this morning, kind of going through all the options and possibilities, and also where our actual customer base is and we're actually generating deals is, and that may have more to say than anything else. It's just like business is a matter of who you know and where you do the deal, right? So that might be driving this perspective, but specifically it's for hedging Bitcoin volatility, being able to take some liquidity right now. So basically the core of it is I am long Bitcoin. I want to buy Bitcoin. I want to buy Bitcoin at a discount to the market. Someone else on the other side is like, well, I also believe in Bitcoin long term, but I believe I can, it's going to go down in the short term and I want to generate some cash right now. So I'll take on that volatility risk, and but you can just buy my Bitcoin at a discount long term. You do a deal, they get cash, I get basically the I get basically Bitcoin exposure, right, at a discount. And it becomes a lot more like an options contract, an option to purchase. Um, and they can, depending on the price, they can choose to just like at the end of the term, it has to be term based. So key thing is, I think, to better align with the ethos, no liquidation, right, until you hit the term. So it's very much, it really allows for true self custody. It allows for the business that's taking the investment. And really, my terminology is, I think, changing from lender borrower to investor investee, or investor and business, because it's more apt in the sense that you could invest whatever, like $10,000, and um, you can choose to you can choose whether to get like your money back on this investment in USD or Bitcoin, really up to you. But underlying it all, there's going to be Bitcoin. And essentially, if Bitcoin goes down, business does well. They kind of like, the personal borrower wins, and they just, if they chose a USD repayment, they repay you basically whatever USD you gave them, and you then have the opportunity to also buy cheaper Bitcoin in the future. In fact, there's 4 different scenarios, and I think I might just go over them properly later. But you can either invest USD and just get your USD back, 0 returns in the case Bitcoin goes down, or you can invest USD and get USD plus returns, like 20%, whatever, if Bitcoin goes up, as a profit share on the Bitcoin going up, right? So then you have a stable USD position plus Bitcoin upside. That's the USD side of this. Or you could have it the other way, where you're investing USD and you are getting your investment repaid in Bitcoin terms. So basically, if Bitcoin is down, right, you actually take on a loss, but you don't really care either. Like, that's kind of more the scenario, because you're long Bitcoin. It's a paper loss. You believe that it'll hold on longer term. You get cheaper access to Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin goes up, you also still get paid in USD, in Bitcoin. Now, this challenges like the business who's borrowing, but effectively they can default, and then you just get the Bitcoin, the discount Bitcoin, and you have most of the upside. Or you can share that upside with the business, so that it's like it's a bit fairer, better manages volatility on both ends. So the whole fairer financial future, I think, really comes down to values and ethos, and what does it represent and what you can do. And when you really stick to, I think, self-custody, profit and loss, risk sharing, you and you avoid yield, really. I think that's when you really can deliver on this fair financial future, which we've been really struggling to achieve, because we still want TradFi liquidity to be coming into the ecosystem, and more of it will come. It might just not be as fast as we expected, or it might be. If this turns out really well and lucrative, at the end of the day, if it's a profitable business, TradFi wants a piece of it. So I think I'm doubling down on this, and the conviction will continue to grow as we keep talking about it. But yeah, we're going to do another deal in this way. It's like a model difference, it's a conviction difference, it's a tech difference. Are these going to be moats? Are people going to copy us? I don't know, but yeah, this is where we're going to start, or make a redirection.